Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my guide to the Lost City of Amdapor hard mode, a new dungeon added in patch 3.2. To unlock this dungeon, you must first complete the Lost City of Amdapor, the level 50 dungeon, and accept a new quest from the Conjurer's Guild called One More Night in Amdapor. After that, meet the minimum item level of the dungeon and queue up in the Duty Finder. This dungeon has 3 bosses with some trash in between, the standard stuff. To skip straight to a specific boss, please use the annotations in the top left hand of the video. This dungeon's going to start with a number of ads, beetles, crawlers, nothing that you can't handle. You'll recognize the gremlins from normal mode. Now remember, that misery debuff that the gremlins do can be cleansed by actually walking up to a person that's afflicted by it and doing the /comfort emote. I'm serious, if you've never tried it before, go do it. Other than that, kill the eggs that are in your path and kill the ads as they come. Before long, you'll be at the first boss. The first boss is Akamoth, who alternates between a few unique mechanics. The first one is Psycho Squama, which is a giant cone AoE that will cause you to attack allies if it hits you. Try not to be too far away from the boss, it just makes it easier to dodge. The big mechanic of the fight is Neuro Squama. When the boss casts this, it will create a clone of each player, facing the direction that player was facing when the ability finished casting. These clones will shoot a giant conal AoE in the direction they are facing. It's best to just have the clones face towards the walls to avoid the AoEs. Just look at a wall when he starts casting it, and you'll never have to see an AoE for the entire fight, pretty much. The final mechanic will put a crosshair on a single player before a gas bubble begins chasing them. You can just eat it if you want, but you're supposed to kite it around the room and away from other players. If it touches a player, it will explode, cause vulnerability up, and leave a poison puddle. If it doesn't touch anyone, it just disappears. Just repeat these mechanics until the boss is dead. The next set of trash has a lot of AoEs that you need to dodge. One of them has a suck-in mechanic, but to weaken them, you can actually drag them into these patches of light on the ground. They're really not too threatening, so just do that for several pulls, and before you know it, you'll be at the second boss. The second boss is Winged Lion, who is really easy. He has a basic cleave and a few hard to wipe to, I don't even know how to wipe to mechanics. Occasionally, you'll see him shoot AoEs that summon magic bubbles around the room. Stepping into these bubbles will hit a player with a spell of the same element that you can see floating around above it. You'll take arrow from the wind bubbles, stone from the earth bubbles, and holy from the light bubbles. These spells only do like 2k damage, so just have someone touch them. He'll also summon an arcane sphere that begins growing rapidly in the middle of the room. If it grows too large before you kill it, it'll deal a ton of damage, so kill it fast. The second time he summons an arcane sphere, he'll also summon a couple of ads with it. Just kill them along with it. A little bit into the fight, the Winged Lion's gonna give players earth or wind resistance down. What you're supposed to do is have the people with wind resistance down get the stone AoEs, and the people with earth resistance down get the arrow AoEs. But I've seen people completely YOLO this and never die, so just try your best here. I noticed that if you don't step into the arrow bubbles, they exploded, but one time I just let an earth bubble disappear. It was like it wasn't even a mechanic that I had to deal with. So that's pretty much the whole fight. I literally couldn't find a way to die other than the arcane sphere. Towards his death, he's going to do more of those magic bubbles though, but that's about it. For the final set of trash, you'll run into several light sprites, which can cast powerful AoEs, as well as a number of statues. The first 2 statues you run into just cleave. The second set turns into dolls that can do some AoE and they can hit the tank pretty hard. The third set is made up of magic pots, and these can do pretty deadly amounts of damage along with the light sprite. They have an attack called Double Ray, which hits random raid members for a bit of damage, but their big killer is Mysterious Light, which is a 360-degree gaze attack that will deal damage and blind you if you're looking at the pot when it finishes casting. Basically, either stun them or look away from the pot in order to completely avoid its effects. Finish up these mobs before moving on to the final boss. The final boss is Kuriboh. This boss has 3 lives, each of which has its own set of mechanics. In all lives, she has a giant conal AoE which you just dodge standard. After each resurrection, Kuriboh will also take less damage, however. In the first phase, Kuriboh pretty much just uses healing spells. The regen field will heal her over time if she's standing in it. Cure 4 will restore a large amount of health to all enemies in the room, though in this case there's just one enemy. It'll restore less health the more players are standing under that little AoE under her, so if all 4 party members go there, she just heals for less. Cure 3 she can also cast will just heal her as well. After she loses her first life, she will resurrect and begin phase 2. Phase 2 has her cast Reverse on herself, which will cause all of her healing spells to now deal damage to the party instead. Regen lays down a field that inflicts a powerful damage over time to anyone standing in it. Cure 4 will deal more damage the closer you are standing to her, so move away from her when she starts casting it. Cure 3 will place 2 markers above players' heads to deal AoE damage, so just stand away from each other. After dealing with her second life, Kuriboh will revive for her third and final form. The final phase is a mix of phases 1 and 2, with her switching back and forth between her healing mode and reverse. In both modes, she can now summon a Void Scent ad, though it does different things depending on which she's in. In healing mode, this ad will slowly build stacks of regen on the boss, so kill it to stop the regen. If she finishes casting Cure 4, it will also heal the ad, so you'll want it dead before then. When she switches to reverse, the ad will tether to the healer and deal a stacking bleed effect as well as reduce their healing output. This tether can be passed off to a non-healer, so one of the DPS can take it off them. Just keep alternating between modes, kill the ads, and finish her off. Thanks for watching my guide to the Lost City of Amdapor hard mode. Reminder that this dungeon drops I-195 gear, as well as several tomestones of esoterics and lore. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for all the latest Final Fantasy XIV news, videos, guides, all that good stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.